Are we, inherently good? Is society the thing that keeps us in check? Or is there something much darker just sort of lurking beneath the surface, ready to pop out when the rules disappear? It's a huge question, really. And today, we're diving deep into William Golding's incredibly powerful, often unsettling classic, Lord of the Flies. Picture this. A bunch of British schoolboys, they survive a plane crash, and they find themselves stranded on this, perfect tropical island. Sounds like a kid's adventure story, right? Well, Golding just flips that whole idea on its head. This is definitely not a story of brave discovery. Instead, this deep dive is going to peel back the layers of Golding's really profound allegory. We're going beyond the basic plot to try and understand its enduring message about how fragile civilization is and, honestly, the raw power of our primal instincts.
And that unsettling message, it's signaled right from the get-go. The title itself, Lord of the Flies, or Baal Zevuv, which is, an ancient name for a demon, often linked with Satan, that tells you immediately what Golding's getting at. He's looking squarely at humanity's capacity for evil, not just as some outside temptation. So our mission here is to really dig into why this book, written right after World War II, still feels so incredibly relevant, so powerful today. It's like a chilling mirror, isn't it?
Okay, so let's unpack that core idea, this really unsettling concept Golding puts forward. Is evil something external? Something that tempts us, or is it just part of us, intrinsically part of who we are? How does his vision challenge how we usually think about corruption?
That's a really key distinction, and it's where Lord of the Flies sharply diverges from something like, say, the Faust story. Think about Faust. He makes a conscious deal with the devil, Mephistopheles, right? Offers his soul for knowledge, for power. It's a transaction. It's external. But in Lord of the Flies, the thing that speaks to Simon is that grotesque, decaying pig's head on a stick. The Lord of the Flies. And it doesn't offer any deals, no promises. It just says, chillingly, I'm part of you. That's the core of it. Golding isn't saying evil infects them from outside. He's arguing it's inherent in human nature. He actually described it as natural and inevitable as honey from a bee.
Wow. And what makes that even more disturbing is who he chose as protagonist.
Children. Yeah.
Just kids. You contrast them with Faust, this cynical, world-weary scholar actively seeking darkness. These boys aren't like that. They're not intellectuals. Their ability to reason just gets completely overwhelmed by primal urges and, terrifyingly, by mob psychology.
Right.
It really forces you, the reader, to face this possibility that evil isn't learned. It's not something you pick up. It might just be innate.
Exactly. And this perspective, this bleak view, it was profoundly shaped by Golding's own time in the Royal Navy during World War II. Seeing the horrors, the sheer scale of violence humans were capable of, even supposedly civilized nations, it fundamentally shifted his view. He saw that capacity for destruction not as some kind of mistake, but as something basic to us, even in the seemingly innocent.
So with that groundwork laid, this idea of innate darkness, Golding then proceeds to show us, step by agonizing step, how that thin layer of civilization just gets stripped away on the island. I mean, initially, they really do try to recreate the British society they left behind, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. They elect Ralph, they make rules, they hold assemblies with the conch, and crucially, they focus on that signal fire for rescue. They attempt order.
But that order just proves so incredibly fragile, it crumbles fast.
And Golding tracks that crumbling so carefully. He shows the escalating violence, the erosion of any moral restraint. It starts almost, you could say, playfully, hunting pigs for food. But it twists very quickly into something darker. These bloodthirsty rituals, that awful chant, kill the pig, cut her throat, bash her in.
Oh, yeah. That chant is chilling.
It is. And that game, it's not just a game anymore. It becomes, like you said, a rehearsal for murder. And it culminates, tragically, in the deaths of Simon and then Piggy. You see their disregard for life just escalate. It goes from accidentally killing a little Dylan when the first fire rages out of control to that truly grotesque, frenzied killing of the sow. The description is so visceral, so disturbing. It's like they're preparing themselves for violence against each other.
And you can actually feel that descent, the psychological and moral decay, mirrored in how the story itself is told, can't you? The structure reflects the content.
Completely. It's masterful.
Early chapters, lots of daylight, assemblies, talk about rules. But as they lose their grip, the narrative shifts, doesn't it? More darkness, more frantic language, focusing on these primal, almost animalistic images.
Yes, the narrative itself sort of descends with them. And the peak, or maybe the nadir of that, is the torture of Wilfred. He's just tied up and beaten by Jack's tribe for no reason given. It's pure arbitrary cruelty. It shows Jack's complete descent into tyranny, and you see Roger's horrifying excitement at wielding what Golding calls irresponsible authority. Even the island changes. It starts as this lush paradise, Eden-like, but it becomes this hellish landscape reflecting the boy's inner state. It completely subverts those hopeful island adventure stories, like the Coral Island, which Golding was consciously responding to.
Right. So amidst all this chaos, these two very different leadership styles emerge. Ralph versus Jack. Ralph, he clearly represents democratic ideals, reason, logic, and that crucial long-term grosque. He relies on the conch for order.
Yeah, but Ralph really struggles, doesn't he? He tries so hard to maintain order, but the boys, especially the older ones, they just gravitate towards Jack. Ralph's appeals to logic, remember when he asks, which is better, law and rescue, or hunting and breaking things up? Those sensible questions just fall flat.
Yeah, nobody's listening by that point.
Exactly. He's ultimately reduced to being hunted like an animal, hiding for his life. It starkly shows how quickly civilized authority just collapses when it doesn't have the power, or maybe the ruthlessness, to enforce itself.
And then you have Jack. What a contrast. He taps right into their immediate fears and desires. He offers protection from this imaginary beast. He offers meat, that instant gratification, and the intoxicating freedom of painted faces and these ritualistic dances. His journey from being this, slightly arrogant choir leader to a full-blown tyrannical chief. It's a really chilling look at how absolute power corrupts. It makes you think, gosh, if you were one of those kids, who would you follow?
It does. And central to Jack's rise is his manipulation of that fear, the fear of the beast. He uses it brilliantly, in a dark way, to consolidate power and justify violence. The little ones, the younger boys, they're key here. They represent, in a way, the masses in any society, easily scared, needing leadership, and very susceptible to manipulation. Their nightmares about the beast show how we tend to project our own inner fears onto some external enemy.
Yeah.
And it demonstrates how easily fear can pave the way for authoritarianism, for the collapse of democracy. It's a really powerful parallel to things we see in the real world, unfortunately.
Definitely. And Golding uses symbolism so effectively throughout the book. It's like every key object on the island carries this heavy symbolic weight, charting the moral breakdown.
Absolutely. And maybe the most powerful symbol is the conch. At first, it's everything noble: democracy, order, civilized talk. Holding the conch means you have the right to speak.
Yeah, the talking stick, basically.
Exactly. But as savagery takes over, its power just fades. And when it shatters at the very moment Piggy is killed, it signifies the total, irreversible collapse of their attempt at society. Reasoned discussion is literally crushed.
And then there are Piggy's spectacles, his glasses. They represent intellect, science, reason. They're literally the tool they use to make fire. They're linked to technology and rescue.
Right. So when they're broken and later stolen by Jack's tribe, it's not just theft. It symbolizes a deliberate rejection of insight, of science, of reason itself. They choose primal needs over rational planning.
So powerful. And the signal fire.
The fire. It starts as pure hope, doesn't it? Their connection to civilization, their only chance of rescue. But then it gets neglected because hunting becomes more important. And finally, horrifically, it's used to smoke Ralph out, setting the whole island ablaze in that final hunt. It transforms from a symbol of hope into this agent of utter destruction, a dramatic signal of how far they've fallen.
And, of course, the beast. It starts as just a bad dream for the little ones, right? Then it kind of evolves into this idea of an external monster, maybe the dead parachutist they see.
Yes, they keep trying to find an external source for their fear. But Simon understands.
He is the key, isn't he?
He is. Simon realizes the crucial truth. The beast isn't real, not out there anyway. It's a manifestation of their own inner darkness, their own capacity for evil. And the Lord of the Flies, that pig's head, it confirms this directly to Simon. It tells him, I'm part of you. That externalized symbol becomes this terrifying avatar for the internal darkness within every single one of them. It's a truth almost too heavy for him to carry alone.
Let's talk more about Simon. He's such a unique character. He seems to represent something like spiritual insight or moral courage. He's different from Ralph's focus on order or Jack's embrace of chaos. He's the only one who truly grasps the nature of the beast.
He is, and his death is just gut-wrenching. He comes down the mountain trying to tell the others the truth about the parachutist, the truth about the beast, but they're caught up in this frenzied, ritualistic dance, terrified, lost in the moment. They mistake him for the beast, and they kill him. The mob just descends on him.
It's brutal.
It is, and it symbolizes more than just his death. It's the silencing of truth by mob rule, by fear, by collective hysteria. It shows the tragic fate of wisdom when people are governed by fear. It's the ultimate loss of innocence, really. A rejection of the only one who saw clearly. It's just devastating to read.
And then there's Piggy's death. Piggy, who embodies intellect, pure reason. He's always appealing to logic, clinging to the rules, to what makes sense. His physical vulnerabilities, the asthma, the glasses, they seem to mirror how fragile reason itself is when faced with brute force.
Exactly, and his death is different from Simon's. Simon's was, in a way, a product of frenzy, of mass hysteria, a tragic mistake maybe. But Piggy's death, that's cold-blooded murder. Roger, up on the cliff, deliberately levers that huge rock. He knows it will kill Piggy, and it does. It crushes him, and the conch with him.
The ultimate rejection of reason.
Totally. It symbolizes the complete collapse of intellect, the end of any semblance of order. And the description is horrifyingly graphic. His head opened and stuff came out and turned red. It's extreme dehumanization, this progression you see from the accidental killing of the little Lynn to Simon's frenzied killing to Piggy's calculated murder. It shows how violence corrupts, not just through passion, but through deliberate, cold cruelty. It shows how far they've truly fallen.
So, bringing it all together, why does this book, Lord of the Flies, still feel so chillingly relevant today? Decades after it was written, it feels almost timeless, prophetic even.
Well, I think it's because those core themes, mob mentality, how fear is manipulated, the suppression of reason, they just connect so powerfully to things we see right now. You think about the spread of disinformation online, how fear and tribalism get exploited to divide people and consolidate power, Jack using the beast to control the little ones. It's a disturbing parallel to how some leaders today exploit anxiety, spread lies, silence dissent, and turn people into fearful mobs.
Yeah, you really see that.
And the silencing of those rational voices like Piggy and Simon, it's such a potent commentary on how critical thinking and uncomfortable truths are often the first casualties when fear takes over. It feels very contemporary.
And that ending. It packs such a punch with its irony, doesn't it?
Yep.
The naval officer arrives, this symbol of the adult, civilized world. He saves Ralph literally seconds from death. But this rescue comes via a warship, part of a global conflict. The adult world he represents is engaged in its own much larger scale savagery. It's not the clean rescue you might hope for.
Exactly right. The rescue is also an exposure. It shatters the boys' whole savage game, forces them to confront what they've done, They start crying. But the officers comment, "I should have thought that a pack of British boys would have been able to put up a better show than that." It shows he just doesn't get it. He fails to see that the boys have simply enacted, on a smaller scale, the same violence and hypocrisy driving the adult world's war.
Wow, yeah.
It brutally suggests that the evil wasn't just on the island. It's the same evil that drives the civilized world. It forces us to admit that the monster isn't just out there on some remote island, it's potentially everywhere.
So after this deep dive, Golding's core message seems pretty clear and pretty uncomfortable. Civilization is fragile, it's easily broken, not because it's inherently weak, maybe, but because it's constantly fighting against these powerful intrinsic forces within human nature itself. Evil, he seems to say, isn't something external that corrupts us. It's just part of the package. An inherent part of being human the civilization can maybe hold in check for a while, but never truly get rid of.
That's the stark takeaway. And it leaves us with a challenging thought to mull over, doesn't it? While Golding makes this powerful case for innate darkness shaped by his wartime experiences, you could argue perhaps that he underplays humanity's capacity for compassion, or the resilience of good even under pressure. Do those things exist too? How do we balance these views today? And if Golding's vision holds true, even partially, what are the crucial restraints, personal, societal, that we absolutely need to maintain? And what really happens to us and our world when those restraints inevitably start to fray or break down completely? It's a question Lord of the Flies forces upon us long after we finish reading.